Okay, I want to get started right away because I know a lot of you have to skip out at 6 o'clock for your session. So we'll try to keep things moving along quickly. So for those of you that don't know me, hello, my name is Kelly. I'm the registered dietitian here. I've been working here for almost 5 years. My involvement with the Biggest Loser program, typically I do 2 free nutrition presentations a month. I'm also available for one-on-one nutrition consults. So my cards are over there. If you have any questions or concerns, you can contact me. We do have a Biggest Loser special going on as well. It's $99 for one hour session plus 2 half-hour follow-up sessions. So again, you can contact me after class if you have questions about that. So, welcome to the program. I think most of you, or maybe all of you, are in the Biggest Loser program, so welcome. And this evening we're going to be talking about eating well for weight loss. So, and I think too, if you have questions, typically I like to entertain questions in between the slides, but again, just to keep things rolling, if you have questions and you're able to stay, we'll save the questions for the end. I'm also, again, because I'm recording this, we're going to try to put it on the YouTube page, so if you miss half of the presentation or miss the question portion, you'll be able to view it online. Are there no more chairs?
No, there's one.
Okay, okay. Can everybody hear me back there? Okay, there's also one up here. All right, so objectives for this evening. By the end of the program, you should be able to describe the effect of eating on weight loss, describe a normal eating pattern, and list at least 3 components of a balanced meal. There's no quiz. Again, this is just to show you where we're going for the evening. All right, so let's talk a little bit about metabolism. What is it? The metabolism is the way that the body converts food or beverages into energy. Your goal is to burn more calories than you eat, right? It sounds simple, but it is a little bit more complex, and we'll get into that. A calorie is not a calorie, so I don't think people realize they can turn that down. Okay, so anyways, a calorie is not a calorie, and what I mean by that is, let's say your meal plan is 1,200 calories a day. That doesn't mean that it's okay to just eat candy and chips and things to get to your 1,200 calories, and then okay, great, you're on your way. So there's other benefits to eating a variety of foods to get you to the 1,200 calories. Yeah. It's not locked. It just, you gotta pull it down. Okay. So anyways, so for instance, calories from an apple versus calories from a candy bar. Calories from an apple are going to give you a ton of other benefits, right? Antioxidants to prevent illness, fiber to promote fullness so you're not hungry later, versus calories from a candy bar, much different, right? All right, the other thing about metabolism is you kind of want to treat your body like a car, and what I mean by that is you actually have to eat in order for your metabolism to burn off calories. Okay, so it sounds counterintuitive. I mean, most people are like, well, if I stop eating, you know, won't I lose weight? Not necessarily. Our bodies are built so that it's a protective mechanism, and that's a good thing. So if we're going under in calories, if we're over-restricting, if we're not eating enough, our bodies are going to say, hey, I've got to hang on to calories because what's happening here? Am I starving? So you actually have to eat in order for your metabolism to work efficiently. It's when you overeat or overconsume calories, that's when you see the weight gain. So we have to have that balance there. Okay, so perhaps some of you have heard of the starvation mode, and that's kind of what I was getting into with the last slide. Severe calorie restriction, so typically under 1,000 calories. When you've got that, you've got muscle tissue being used for energy, and that slows metabolism. So what I mean by that is, you know, let's say you've barely eaten anything all week and you're coming in here and you're going hard with your workouts. What's going to happen is your body is going to pull calories and nutrients from your muscles because it has nothing else to really pull from. Okay, so your muscles are going to suffer if you're not supporting them with enough calories. Yep.
Can that affect your brain, your thinking?
Sure, yeah. Some people, if you don't get enough calories, people can feel dizzy. You might feel lightheaded. Well, same kind of thing. Lightheaded, dizzy. You might feel foggy, just cranky. That's another huge one. So yes, eating enough calories is very important for mood as well as energy levels. It's also impossible to obtain adequate nutrition to stay healthy and fuel and replenish your muscles before and after your workouts if you're not getting the right nutrients in the right amounts. Okay, so, and the reason I bring this up is, you know, some of you might be sitting here thinking, well, that's not a problem of mine. I'm eating too many calories. That's not an issue of mine to eat the bare minimum. I bring it up because I've seen a lot of people's food journals in the past with the Biggest Loser program where they weren't eating enough calories. They were over-restricting, barely eating the bare minimum, and they weren't seeing the results they wanted to as a result of over-restricting. So you still need to eat on this program.
Oh, question.
Yes.
I have heard that if you work out in the morning before you eat, it will pull from stored fat versus glucose in your blood system. Is that correct?
Yeah, the research goes back and forth. What she's asking is, you know, should you be working out on an empty stomach? Are you going to burn more calories? The research goes back and forth with that. If you want to work out on an empty stomach, that's your choice. Just make sure that you're able to still give 100% to your workout, and make sure you back up your workout by eating immediately after then, okay? Because again, if you come to the gym and you're lightheaded and you're not able to give 100%, well, what good was it to skip a meal? So you kind of have to know your body as well. Okay, so we'll save the questions for the end then to keep rolling along. All right, your meal plan, whatever meal plan you decide to follow or whatever meal plan you discuss with your trainer, successful meal plans will have a balance between carbs, fat, and protein, be at least 1,200 calories or more. Okay, again, you need that bare minimum so that you can get in here and give your 100% to your workout and replenish your muscles. Your meal plan will foster a good relationship with food, not demonize it. Okay, that's another thing that we tend to do with weight loss programs. I can't ever have that again. You know, that's bad for me, this and that. You know, when you start demonizing food, you're creating a poor relationship with food. And then what happens after the 12 weeks is over? Oh my gosh, I need to have that. And it just, you know, it's like a spiraling effect. All right, a good meal plan will allow enjoyment within reason. Again, the holidays are coming. That's a major thing, you know, a major challenge for most of us. So, you know, if it's a holiday and you want to have a small portion of something, that's fine, but keep in mind it's a holiday, not a holiweek or a holimonth, right? Okay. And then a good meal plan will also outlive 12 weeks. You want to try to find something that you can live with, hopefully for the rest of your life. Not, again, something that you do gung-ho 12 weeks and then all of a sudden 12 weeks is over and it's just everything's out the window. Okay? All right, some other tips for healthy eating. Follow regular and consistent meal patterns. There's a lot of different diets out there. There's a lot of different diets having to do with fasting and intermittent fasting. And those are all fine and dandy and sometimes they work, but I really recommend trying to eat about every 3 to 5 hours. And the major reason behind that is it keeps our blood sugars stable, okay? When our blood sugars are not stable and they're doing this because we're skipping meals and then eating big meals and then skipping meals and eating big meals, and you're getting this yo-yo in your blood sugar, that causes issues with cravings. It causes issues with picking the wrong types of foods. It causes issues with eating double portions by the time you do eat. So we want to try to have a stable meal pattern. So trying to eat every 3 to 5 hours. Realize that breakfast should be setting the tone for the day, okay? And if you're not a breakfast eater, that's fine. You don't have to eat a whole big, you know, a whole big spread. You know, maybe you start off with just a string cheese or a string cheese and an apple, just something to kind of get you going for the day. Along with eating every 3 to 5 hours. If you know you're going to have, like for instance, let's say you have a really busy work day coming up and it's back-to-back conferences or whatever, try to have a little snack, something quick with you. So if you know you're going from noon to 6 with conferences, hopefully you can just take a couple minutes to just nibble on something, okay? Skipping meals slows the conversion of food into energy, which can lead to overeating and poor food choices. So that's the takeaway there. The importance of balancing meals. Carbohydrate imbalances lead to blood sugar spikes. So again, we talked about those spikes and those drips or drops. So that, again, that can lead to lagging in energy, cravings, all those wonderful things. So when we have blood sugar spikes, this increases the demand for insulin. When levels stay high or yo-yo, this becomes very taxing on the body. And this is associated with things like type 2 diabetes and obesity. So a good way to prevent this is to balance your carbs, proteins, and fats. We'll talk a little bit about that. So carbs, proteins, and fats are known as macronutrients. Keep in mind that anything you eat in excess leads to storage. So protein's a really huge thing, especially at gyms. Everybody's always emphasizing protein, and that's fine. But let's say your meal plan is 1,200 calories a day. Even if you're eating all protein all day, but going over by 200 calories, it's still going over by 200 calories, right? So it doesn't matter where those calories are coming from. It's still going to lead to storage. Your body only uses what it needs to use at the time that it needs it. Along with protein, anything over 30 grams of protein per meal makes no difference to your muscles. So the research is showing somewhere between 20 to 30 grams of protein at a meal is a good window for most everybody. Not that you can't eat more than 30 grams of protein at a meal. It's just not going to make a big difference if you're trying to build muscle. Strength training is what's most responsible for muscle building. So again, if you're not in here lifting and doing strength training, just eating protein all day, not going to make a difference for you. You've got to put in the work. Over here, I don't know, can you guys see this in the back? Okay. So over here, it goes over, there's a little pie chart of your total calories. So there's some ranges here, and I know it's kind of a wide range, but if we start with the carbohydrates, typically around 45% of your total calories is what we recommend. 65 would be the higher end of the spectrum, but if you're looking for weight loss, 45% is where we're looking. Your proteins should be somewhere between 15 and 35%. Again, if you're pulling away from your carbs and you're going to the 45%, you'll probably want to bump your protein up to the 35%. And then your your fat should be somewhere between 20 and 30%. Couple other things about balancing meals. When you balance meals, we want to have at least 3 different food groups at a meal. Your meals should typically be between 300 and 500 calories. Again, it depends on whatever your calorie needs are for the day. You want to aim for 20 to 30 grams of protein at a meal, and your meal should consist of a lean protein, complex carbohydrates, and a vegetable. Okay? So, for instance, again, let's say you have a meal and it's 300 calories, you met those requirements, but it was mostly carbohydrates, hardly any protein or anything else. Again, this is what's going to happen to your blood sugar, okay? Now, if you pair the carbohydrate up with protein, something like this happens with your blood sugar. This is much safer for weight management than this. Couple things about portion comparisons, and if everybody picked up the handouts, you should have one that's got like a little plate on it at the top and then the portion comparisons on the bottom. But a half a cup, so if you're out somewhere, you probably don't want to be pulling out your measuring spoons and your scales and things, and that's totally understandable. So you can kind of eyeball things as well. So again, if you're at a restaurant or whatever, you can know that half a cup is about the size of a half of a baseball. instance, you can use that to measure something like a complex carbohydrate, so like a whole wheat pasta. 1 cup is the size of a baseball or a fist, so that can be used to measure things like casseroles or cooked vegetables. 1 medium fruit is the size of a fist or a baseball. 3 ounces of meat is the size of a deck of cards, or again, if you want to use your hand, it's the size of your palm without your fingers. 1 teaspoon is the fingertip from this joint up here to the tip. So that would be things like oil. And then 2 tablespoons, if you want to measure something like dressings, that would be like a ping pong ball. And then on the handout, this little picture is on there. So this is kind of, again, if you're out somewhere, this can be helpful to visualize how to break up your plate. So half of your plate would ideally be vegetables, because again, vegetables are high in antioxidants, so they fight disease. They're high in fiber, so they help fill you up. They're also high in water content, so they help with hydration. And they're very low in calories, so the more vegetable, the better. Then another quarter of your plate should be for your protein, so meat, fish, chicken, any of those things are fine. And then the last quarter of your plate should be for starch. Your starches will ideally be like a whole grain, so brown rice versus white rice, whole grain pasta versus white pasta. You could do a small baked potato there instead of the grains if you want to. And then over here on the left, it says on the side or for a snack, you can have a small piece or 3/4 cup of fruit plus 1 cup of low-fat milk. Now, I've also had questions about if you want to do full-fat dairies and things like that. That is fine as long as it fits within your meal plan. So, you know, if you're able to stay, again, I'll just stick with the 1,200 calorie meal plan. If you're able to stay within your 1,200 calorie meal plan and do full-fat milks and full-fat dairies and whatever, that is fine. But also consider your medical history. If you have any heart concerns, if you have any cholesterol concerns, that would be something to also take into consideration and discuss with your doctor. Okay, let's talk about snacking, because snacking can be a part of your meal plan as well if you don't like to eat everything all at one sitting and you like to break it up. Or again, if you're going to have a busy day and you have to go several hours in between meals. 2 to 3 snacks are perfectly acceptable, again, fitting within your meal plan. Do avoid trigger foods though. So if you know you love ice cream, for instance, you know, probably that would not be a good thing to have in the house and use that as your go-to snack, right? When you are building your snacks, ideally you will have a complex carb and a lean protein together, because remember what we said, when you have carbs by themselves, your blood sugar tends to do this. If you pair the carb with a protein, you have something more like this, okay? So, an idea for a complex carb, you could do like a fruit or a vegetable. And then you want to have your snacks between 100 to 200 calories each. Again, it depends on your meal plan though. Ideally, you'll have something that has fiber in it. So again, if you do a fruit or vegetable, that takes care of your carbs and your fiber. So that checks that off. And then you want to aim somewhere around 10 grams of protein is ideal. You don't have to be spot on, but 10 grams of protein is a good goal. So for instance, you could pair, fruit would be your carb, and you could do some cottage cheese for your protein. So that would be an example there. All right, other ideas for snacks. Now, I put this in parentheses. A little bit of dark chocolate from time to time is fine, right? But it's only 1 inch. So if you're a chocolate fan, 1 inch is not very big, but it can fit into a meal plan, and you really should be treating it as a treat or a dessert, not, you know, hopefully not an everyday thing. 2 tablespoons of guacamole and 1 cup of sliced peppers. You could do 1 stick of reduced fat string cheese. And again, some of these aren't carb and protein together, but just some examples. 1 small apple with 1 tablespoon of natural peanut butter, 3 handfuls of unbuttered popcorn seasoned with herbs, and 4 to 6 ounces of low-fat yogurt. So those would all be acceptable examples, and they're all between 100 and 200 calories. All right, so somebody had asked before we got started about eating and workouts. If you're going to eat before a workout, if it's going to be a meal, then it should be 3 to 4 hours before you come in here and hit it hard. Okay. However, if you're going to do a snack, that should be about a half hour to an hour before. Okay. So if you ate something at 10 o'clock this morning and you haven't eaten anything since, and you're going to work out at 5, ideally 4 or 4:30, if you can get a snack in quick before you come in here, that would be a good idea. If you're going to do a snack before you come and work out, try to pick something that's easily digestible. Now, that's kind of dependent on you. I mean, some people, I had a friend that would come and work out. She would do impact class and she would have an apple before she came to work out. Some people can't tolerate something that's got a lot of fiber like that right before a workout. So you kind of have to experiment and find what works for you. But bananas are typically easily digested, so those are a good example. You could do a yogurt, a Greek yogurt, but that typically gets digested well. But again, it kind of depends on you and your body. And then as far as eating after a workout, you want to try to back up your workout by eating within a half hour to an hour at the most, okay? So if it's meal time, you can eat your meal right after your workout, or if you've already had your meal before you came to work out, you could back it up with a snack. Fluid and hydration, this is another really important aspect of nutrition that tends to get overlooked. Staying hydrated helps us process our calories appropriately. It helps with metabolic rate. It helps with muscle function and workout efficiency. So a good rule of thumb here is to aim for half your body weight in ounces. So if you're 140 pounds, so then you want to aim for around 70 ounces, somewhere in there.
Per day?
Yes, per day. The other thing to keep in mind too is you want to add 2 cups per pound lost. So let's say you come into the gym and you weigh yourself before your workout and you're 140, and then you come out of your workout and you're 138. Well, now you want to take those 2 pounds and multiply it by the 2 cups. So you really should be drinking an additional 4 cups of fluid to replace what you lost.
Unless you're weighing in.
She said unless you're weighing in. I won't touch that one. Okay, so ideas for hydrating. Milk, tea, or milk substitutes are fine too if you want to do like almond milks or anything like that. Low sodium vegetable juice and low sodium broths are fine unless you have trouble with low blood pressure, then you don't need to be doing low sodium. Okay, I do want to break, it's 5:02, so anybody who has to leave at 6 o'clock, go ahead. If you haven't signed in, those of you that are leaving at 6, please sign in. Otherwise, if you're going to be here, you can sign in after we're all done. Good luck to you that are leaving. See you for the next session. If anybody wants to move up and take a chair.
So when they're talking, like when you're entering your food on MyFitnessPal, and they're asking about water, you could, even though you put milk in for nutrition, it counts as a water.
Yeah, so what she was asking is when you're logging, if you're using an app or whatever, or even if you're writing it down, if you drink a cup of milk, or even if you have a half a cup of milk in your oatmeal, that counts towards your daily fluid intake. So you can add that towards your daily intake. Your fluids don't always have to just be straight 8 cups of water a day. It can include other things that you put into your foods, or milk. Any of those would count. Preferably non-carbonated, yes. So I'm just going to close the door. You can also focus on foods that have high water content, so yogurt, cottage cheese, soups, those types of foods have high water content. Fruits and vegetables also are high water content, so those will help you to stay hydrated. We do ask that you limit alcohol and avoid sugary beverages. You know, alcohol tends to be a diuretic, okay, so that's going to dehydrate you. Sugary beverages, although they do count as fluids, I mean, we really try not to count them because there's not a lot of good coming along with the fluid. So, all right, so speaking of alcohol, let's talk about alcohol. Because again, the holidays are coming up. So alcohol is dehydrating. Keep in mind that alcohol is metabolized differently by the body than the macronutrients are. So, and the macronutrients again are fat, protein, and carbohydrates. So because we metabolize alcohol differently than the macronutrients, it tends to lead to fat storage. So I'll give the instance, if you and I are sitting here conversating and I was to have a glass of wine, instead of me burning off calories and fat just like I'm doing now, that would get put on the back burner so that my body could metabolize the alcohol. Okay, so now I'm in fat storage mode so that my body is getting rid of the alcohol. Okay, so I know it's sad but true. But there are some studies that do say that there are some health benefits to having the occasional drink, okay, within reason. There's some vitamins in beer, and there's other health benefits with red wine, so it's not like you have to completely abstain for the rest of your life and all that good stuff. The American Heart Association says that women can do 1 drink a day and 2 drinks per day for men. But again, I'm guessing because you guys are in a contest as well, so if you can, the more you abstain, the better. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Also, try to avoid mixed drinks. Anything that's got like soda in there, or like margaritas always tend to have a lot of sugary, syrupy mixes in there. So those you can get into trouble really easily with. Whereas if you just do a straight beer or straight wine, typically you're not putting a lot of other stuff in there. Typically. Like I said, we live in Wisconsin, so maybe you are putting other stuff in there, but. All right, other tips. Try to practice mindful eating. This is especially true for those of you that experience emotional eating. And emotional eating can be anything, including boredom. And a lot of us have that. You get home from work at night and you were diligent all day about eating, but then you come home and it's just, you're sitting in front of the television watching your favorite TV show, and you've got to have those chips, or, again, you might be bored later on at night, like, oh, what's in the cabinets? So that is also a form of emotional eating as well. So when you practice mindful eating, try to eat distraction-free. Again, I know we live in a society and a culture where, and I'm guilty of it too, I like to peruse the internet while I'm eating. Or again, maybe you like to watch your favorite television show when you're eating your snacks. But try, maybe just try a couple days a week or a couple nights a week. Just set the TV aside, leave it off. Set the computer aside, maybe put on some music in the background for some ambiance, but really pay attention to what you're eating. Eat slowly. That's another thing. Some of you might want to practice putting the fork down in between bites. Sometimes that can help slow you down. Remember that it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that it's full. So if you're eating quickly, you can eat quite a bit in those 20 minutes before your stomach is telling your brain, hey, it's time to stop.
Use chopsticks.
Chopsticks, yes. Unless you're really skilled with those, then yeah. But yeah, chopsticks, that'll slow you down too. So savor each bite. Pay attention to the mouthfeel. How does it feel when you're chewing it? The aroma, how does it smell? Memory, if you have, like let's say you make your favorite, I don't know, beef stew, and it reminds you of your grandmother because it was her recipe. That is a source of enjoyment. And then of course how things taste. And then pay attention too, are you having any emotions or cravings at the time that you're eating the food that you're eating? And these are all things that you really should be including in your food journals as well. You know, don't just write down what you're eating. Try to include like, hey, I was feeling sad at this time when I had this, or I was feeling angry. The more you can identify what's going on and patterns and why things are happening, the better you'll be able to rectify those things. So speaking of journaling, journaling is the most common thread that I've been able to find for success. So in every piece of research that I've done, journaling is like the #1 thing. And I know it seems tedious, and you know, some of you are going to say, I eat the same thing every day, you know, what does it matter to write it down? It really does make a difference. And I'll give you the example. I had somebody a couple seasons ago from The Biggest Loser come to me, and she said that to me, I eat the same thing every day. But then when we sat down and looked at her food journals, I mean, she literally was looking at them like, oh, I guess I didn't realize I was doing that often. So writing it down is very important. It doesn't matter how you journal, it's just as long as you're comfortable with the method that you're using. You can write it down if that's what you prefer to do. You can use an app, you can use a computer website, and the nice thing about the computer websites is a lot of them have apps that go along with them. It just depends on your preference, whatever is going to keep you motivated to log. All right, details that we want you to put into your logs. The time that you ate. Because again, maybe you find that you're eating breakfast at 8 a.m. but not eating a lunch until 2 p.m. So if you can identify, hey, I'm really going a long time in between my meals, and maybe that's why I'm eating double portions at 2 p.m. That's something that you wanna identify. Where you're eating. Are you eating in the living room as opposed to the dining room? Are you sitting in front of the TV as opposed to, again, maybe listening to some music? Who are you with? If you're a social eater, that's a big thing. Your company can have an impact on the choices that you make. If you're eating with a fellow Biggest Loser who's got the same goals as you, that might be way different than if you're eating with, I don't know, a spouse who's maybe not as supportive. Any emotions that you're feeling, like I said, write those down. Portions. When your trainers are looking at your food journals, they're going to want to know, okay, well, did you have half a sandwich or a whole sandwich or 2 sandwiches or whatever? They want to know those details. Okay, and then types of food as well. So did you have a sugar-free sugar substitute versus regular sugar? Or did you have low sodium soup versus the full sodium soup? So all of those details are really important. A little bit about grocery shopping and dining out. Again, some of these get into other topics that we'll discuss later on in the program, but I want to just make sure I give a little bit of information on each of these. When you're at the grocery store, try to do most of your shopping on the outer perimeter of the store, right? Because that's where you tend to find the fresh meats, the fresh produce, all the things that have 0 to very little ingredient list. That means they're the least processed, healthiest forms of the food that you can find. If you are going to shop in the inner part of the store, read your nutrition facts as well as the ingredient list. The ingredient lists are just as important as the nutrition facts. Let's say you look at the nutrition facts and everything looks great. Oh, it's low calorie and it's low fat and blah, 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 blah. And then you come down to the ingredient list and the first 3 ingredients are sugar. Maybe it's molasses and beetroot juice and I don't know, 3 different forms of sugar. Okay, well maybe that product, even though the numbers look great, maybe that product isn't for you because the ingredients, what it's made out of, isn't so good. If you're going to dine out, all the chain restaurants are required, I believe now they are, required to have their nutrition facts available to you. So you can go on the website for the establishment that you're going to eat at and check out the nutrition facts there. If you're going to eat somewhere, again, you can ask for half portions or share it with somebody. And then be choosy. If it's a special occasion and you really want an appetizer, okay, maybe you have the appetizer but you skip the dessert or skip the drinks or whatever. So it's going to be one thing, one or the other, not many. Something else to remember, you know, maybe you have a day where it didn't go as planned. It didn't go well, you made some poor choices, you know, you had some obstacles, whatever, and that's gonna happen. So the important thing is that you recognize it, but then you move on from that. You don't sit there and dwell on it. We tend to have this mentality where, oh, well, I already had a piece of cake today, so I might as well just, you know, the whole day is shot, right? So, and that's true. I mean, a lot of us do that. So please don't let one choice that you made dictate the rest of the day, okay, if it was a poor choice. Don't dwell on it. Allow yourself occasional treats. Again, the holidays are coming. You know, if you want to have a small portion of something and you really feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to go crazy watching everybody eat this and blah, blah, blah. You know, if you're obsessing over it, for goodness sakes, have a small portion of something. Or, I don't know, remove yourself from the situation. Whatever. You know, again, I know you're going through a contest and I know your trainers are going to want you to do certain things, but at the same time, you have to be comfortable with the choices you're making. And once this program ends, I don't want you to just, again, all bets are off, okay? If you make a poor choice early in the day or whatever, you know, okay, the rest of the day you're focusing on really good choices, really emphasizing the vegetables for the rest of the day or other good choices. And then you can also boost your exercise routine. Again, I always say this doesn't give you the ticket to eat however you want during the day and then try to come in here and burn it all off, right? Because it just doesn't work like that. If it did, then, you know, we'd probably all be crazy gym rats, but it doesn't work like that. But yeah, if you have a day where you just, oh, I didn't make very good choices, okay, then the next time you're in the gym, you're working just a little bit harder, a little bit longer. Remember that nutrition is a lifestyle. It really shouldn't just start and stop with a 12-week program. It really should outlive that program. Proper nutrition is an ongoing process. You know, I guess I can't speak for the trainers, but you know, even as a dietitian, I have days where I don't do so well, or I do things that I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't do that. You know, everybody's human. It's an ongoing process, and it's a learning process. And science is always changing too. I mean, there's things that have come out since I've been in school that's like, what? I thought we were supposed to be doing this. So it's a learning process, an ongoing process. Start with small goals, okay? You want to have goals when you're in a program like this, and it's always good to have goals, even if you're not in a program. Have goals, but start small and build on them. You want your goals to be challenging, of course. So that's good, but if they're too lofty, you know, what's going to happen? I give up. I'm defeated, I give up, I'm done with this whole program. So you want to have goals that are challenging you, but that you're able to achieve, okay? So you can adopt maybe 1 or 2 achievable goals for the next couple weeks, maybe not 3, but again, until you meet that goal, and then you can always build on it if you want to make it harder. All right, you can visit online blogs, keep a journal, form a support network, etc. The wonderful thing about the Biggest Loser program is that you guys are going to form bonds with each other, and that's something that we can't, you know, us professionals can't give you. We're not going through the program the way you guys are going through the program. So you guys hopefully will learn to lean on each other and use each other for support. You know, maybe you're having a bad day and you just don't want to talk to your trainer about it, but you're willing to talk to one of the other participants about it. Maybe you guys can talk it out that way, okay? And then of course, yes, the Princeton Club staff is here for support. You know, your trainers are here to help motivate you, to answer questions. So lean on them, that's what they're there for. And then please remember that nutrition is fun and it's rewarding. You know, we shouldn't be using nutrition to as a punishment, you know, as to beat ourselves up. We're trying to better ourselves. You know, we're trying to live longer, happier, healthier lives if we've got kids, or even if we don't have kids, you know, maybe you have a spouse or brothers and sisters or parents that rely on you. So, you know, don't use it as a form of punishment. It's supposed to be rewarding. You're being rewarded with a healthier life, right? All right, other resources. We have a Facebook page for the nutrition portion, so you can visit that. We have a Pinterest page, PC Nutrition, and then, of course, the Biggest Loser page. You can visit that, and there's a nutrition portion on the Biggest Loser page as well. So there's sample meal plans on there, other little tips on there. So, okay, so we have plenty of time for questions. Yes?
What about the flavored waters? Like, would that be just considered a regular water, or the ones that the stuff you can add?
Like the Mios, or yeah, you can use those. Those are fine. Is somebody going to ask me about diet soda?
Sure.
I always get asked about diet soda. Okay,
Give us
so
your scoop.
so and the reason I'm going to bring up diet soda is because I'm not quite sure how flavored waters fit into this yet. There's some research coming out that is linking diet soda. So what diet soda does is it stimulates a part of our brain, kind of like drugs stimulate our brain, okay? So what they're saying, what they're thinking is going on is when that part of the brain gets stimulated, you want more, and you want more, and you want more. And you're not always getting more by having more diet soda. It might be from other foods as well, okay? Now, this is very early research, so again, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. There hasn't, to my knowledge, been any research about flavored waters like that, and if there is, please send that along to me. But so I don't know if, you know, because they're finding this with diet soda, I don't know how that's going to work with that type of, with the flavored water type of things. So again, you have to use your own discretion. The fact of the matter is, right now that we know of, diet sodas and flavored waters don't contribute extra calories, so we know that. But what we're trying to figure out is how they affect our brains and how they affect our other food choices, and how they set our bodies up for fat storage. So it's a learning process there. So again, just you got to use your judgment with that. Other questions?
How about just coffee?
Coffee?
Yeah.
Coffee's fine. I think the recommendations I read were between 200 and 300 milligrams a day, which is typically 2 to 4 cups a day maximum. Again, you need to know your own body. You know, if you're somebody who gets jittery really easily off just a little bit of caffeine, maybe you're not doing, you know, maybe don't do 2 to 4 cups. And it depends on your barista too. If you go to a coffee shop, I've read that some of them put way more caffeine than others in their cups, so it's kind of hard to know how much you're getting there. So yeah, but a little bit of caffeine, there's been research on that a little bit of caffeine does help with exercise performance. So it's okay to have some of that in your coffee. Just like I said, you need to know your body, and make sure too that you're not consuming it late at night and then you go to bed and you're like wide awake and wired, because sleep is also important. That's something we didn't talk about, but sleep is also very important for weight management. And then coffee does count as fluid intake as well, but I usually try to tell people to match their coffee with water intake. Other questions? Yeah.
Do you just have any good ideas for, like, I mean, sometimes you just don't have the time to grocery shop and do all the vegetables, and I mean, and honestly, it blows me away on how much more expensive your grocery bill is when you do shop the outer perimeter. I mean, it is way more expensive to buy 2 cucumbers than it is to get a bag of chips, and you can probably you'll eat more out of the bag of chips than you will 2 cucumbers, you know? So as far as like getting like oatmeal, like, you know, you can get oatmeal in the packages. I mean, is that efficient, you know, like you get the maple and brown sugar, just apple. I mean, just, I don't know, I'm looking for easier ideas. I mean, I understand you gotta eat all the fresh fruits and vegetables, but
Sure.
honestly, that's not always gonna be a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, some of us, or a lot of us, have crazy busy schedules, and we're not just making food for ourselves, we're making food for our entire families or other people. So I totally understand what you're trying to say there. So yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, we would eat everything fresh and everything unprocessed, but yes, there are gonna be times where, you know, you do the best you can, you make the best choice from what you have available to you. I mean, I eat instant oatmeal. Is it the best choice? No, I really should be doing steel cutouts, but again, some of it's give and take in my household. So some of that's okay. Other ideas from other people? Yeah.
One suggestion that I got, and this is a Weight Watchers suggestion, was like at Walmart, they have the already cut up vegetables, and then you can buy like a yogurt dressing. And the other thing that I found convenient, I happen to shop at Costco, but I'm sure Sam's Club or big grocery stores have it. I keep frozen vegetables, the fresh frozen, that actually look like the same vegetable that they were. So that if I don't have fresh, at least I have frozen. It's not in a can with a lot of salt, and that has worked out good for me.
Yeah, could you guys hear her in the back? So pre-cut vegetables from, places like Walmart, or if you belong to Costco or a Sam's Club, or frozen vegetables. And those are nice because they keep, they don't
And you can
spoil.
microwave them so they are fast.
Right. If you're in a hurry, you pop them in the microwave, maybe throw a couple seasonings on there, and you've got a nice little side dish.
Just really looking at the labels, like speaking to the instant oatmeal, like I myself get the lower sugar variety, and you might pay a little more, but you just have to do the best of what, like you said, what your choices are in front of you. So just look at the labels.
Yeah. So she was recommending too, look at the labels of what you're buying. Maybe you buy the low sugar instant oatmeal versus
Right,
full sugary one. Or even, what I usually do with my instant oatmeal is I'll add fruit to it and some cinnamon instead of the flavored stuff. So that way I'm getting some fruit serving and that sweetens it up. But again, it's still a quick option as opposed to steel cutouts. Some other recommendations too, the trainer Brittany here, she really enjoys Cermak. It's down by Miller Park.
What is it?
It's a grocery
Oh,
store.
I thought it was.
Again, I don't know if, maybe not everybody gets down to that area. I do not.
43rd and Greenfield.
43rd and Greenfield.
They have awesome produce and they've got some really good specials like on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so they've got very good produce selection there for a really good price there. So that was a recommendation from trainer Brittany. She really enjoys their produce there. Good price. Yes?
My recommendation on Cermak was stay away from the aisles. You can find everything so much cheaper at Pick and Save.
Okay.
But their produce and their meats are a good buy.
Okay.
And Aldi's, many times they have the same brand of product there in vegetables as Pick and Save. I think, for your staples like onions and potatoes or whatever, I swing by Aldi's because it's, it's cheaper.
Yeah, so Aldi's too. Something that I like to do too is, batch cooking. If you do have a little extra time one weekend, make a little something extra and freeze it so that way when you are having a week that's crazy, you pull it out and, thaw it out and make it. And then, you've got a full meal already made for you. You just got to thaw it and heat it up.
Even if you could take a day and prep your snacks for the week, like individual portions of fruits and veggies and things to just grab and go.
Yeah. And some of it, it is going to require work on your behalf. Some of it is going to require work. And again, I totally get you guys have hectic schedules, but part of it is you're going to have to pen things into your schedule. Take out the time, like, look, Wednesday evening from 6 to 7, this is happening. We're grocery shopping. We're getting what we need for the week. And then, Sunday from 2 to 3, I'm making this meal, or I'm chopping up vegetables, or whatever. I mean, actually putting it into your calendar, just like you do every other appointment. When you go to the dentist, you know, that gets put into your calendar. You need to treat it just as important, as though it's just as important as the other things. But yeah, I do understand there's going to be weeks where it's like, you know what, this ain't happening. So yeah, I mean, some convenience foods, yeah, you gotta do with what you can do with. Yeah.
I was gonna say, you know, when you're trying to save money and time, the things I do is like, you buy, and I know maybe we're not supposed to have hamburger, but realistically, we all have some.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I buy the whole thing, I cook it with onions and bell peppers, and then I divide it up into little things.
That's a good
Cook
idea.
a whole turkey and debone it, put it in little packages so that when you want turkey for your dinner, you don't have to go cook a turkey. You got, you know, and it's cheaper than buying the prep stuff.
Smart, that's why, because I do salads every day for lunch, so I make a whole thing of chicken breasts, freeze them individually, and then I have it for a whole week, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear that back there? So yeah, they're just saying, yeah, get a whole turkey, make it, and then yeah, just freeze it and pull it out during the week for lunches. And you know, you can do a lot of stuff with that too. You can make sandwiches with the turkey. You can make turkey or chicken salad or whatever. So those are helpful tips as well.
And I think like on the salads, you know, if you don't want to have to spend time cutting, you have the bagged salad. And now I just make sure that I have a meat, a fruit, and a nut on it.
Right.
So, you know, in correct portions, but it
Sure.
makes them taste different. So you're eating salad and getting the good things, but they taste like different things because you put different combinations on.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Yeah, if you feel like you're eating salads upon salads upon salads. Yeah, I mean, if you change up the base of the salad, you know, one day it's arugula, the next day it's iceberg lettuce, the next day it's spinach, or whatever, different combinations of those things. And then, like you said, yeah, one day it's tuna, the next day it's chicken, the next day it's
Turkey.
you know, yeah, turkey. So yeah, there's 100 million different ways you can do salad too. It doesn't have to be the same old thing every single day. And even sandwiches too. You know, you can, if you're tired of doing bread all the time, you know, maybe you do a wrap or a pita bread or whatever. Okay, well, I think that's it. Thank you for coming. Our next one is, I believe, next Saturday at 10:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So if you're able to come, great. If not, like I said, we're recording the presentations, so you should be able to view them on YouTube. So and make sure you signed in if you want points for the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just hit stop before I forget.